T-minus 10 minutes. T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. minus 5 minutes. Minus for minutes. Minus 3 minutes. Minus 2 minutes. Minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Yes, Rick Regan. How about that? Welcome to the RP Show, everybody. We are on the air on the Game Plus Television Network, Canada-wide. And in hour two, heading across Nevada television on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network. Very big day today in that my close and dear friend Mitchell Scruffy Blair rides shotgun with me. You're going to hear from him in seconds. Coming up in hour two, NHL Analyst Jared Dumba from the hockey-playing Dumba family. 10 games in the National Hockey League tonight. Yeah, buddy, it's Christmas for CFL fans. The schedule is out. We had Monday Night Football. Scruffy, what's happening with you today? What can you tell me? How are you?
I'm good, Roddy. Yourself?
I'm high over here. It's always
I know.
an
Just
adventure.
everything set up here, though.
Okay, let's get down to business with the big story. We'll dispense with last night's games. NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman said the league is constantly getting reassurances from the International Olympic Committee and the International Ice Hockey Federation that everything, quote, will be fine when it comes to the still unfinished arenas for the 2026 Milan Cortina Games in Italy. Quote from the commissioner, Gary Bettman, there's still work ongoing on the rinks and the ice conditions. It's something that we're monitoring closely and we have absolutely no control over. This is all on the IOC and the IIHF. So, Mitch, as you can see, we're changing it up a little bit. Normally we talk about the games and so forth, but let's be honest. The big story, the circles I'm traveling in, I'm sure the circles you're traveling in, they're all starting to talk about this. I think we talked about it a little bit yesterday. Do you feel more comforted? I didn't quote Bill Daley here, but the deputy commissioner said yesterday that they're cautiously optimistic. This is from the Board of Governor meetings in Colorado that are ongoing, that they will be playing in the Olympics and everything will be fine. Do you believe them?
Yes. It would be a huge stain on the International Olympic Committee, the International Ice Hockey Federation, the NHL, whatever, if for whatever reason they did not play hockey in Milan. That is arguably, and I speak as a Canadian, but I think that is the marquee event of the Winter Olympics. And that takes nothing away from some of the other events that are out there. But Roddy, who's kidding who? You're not going to get 15 million people in Canada watching the men's downhill. You're not going to get 15 million people watching the women's curling final. The two big events are going to be Canada men's hockey, Canada women's hockey. And both of those will go in Milan. As far as the shortened ice surface goes, not ideal, but is it the biggest concern out there?
I think if that's the least of their concerns, then it'll be the least of their concerns. And I'm with you, by the way. And the poll question today for EMJ Marketing, which, by the way, from impactful speakers to strategic marketing, EMJ Marketing is your all-in-one solution. Visit them at emjmarketing.com. Will NHL players end up playing in the Italy Olympics? That's the poll question. 75% are saying yes, they will. I voted yes. Mitch just said that he voted yes, but I'm kind of getting a bang out of this. You've been writing about it in your columns. I have as well. It's like I'm sitting here wondering how much of this is media drummed up to get clicks, because you remember in the Paris games, they said that the water was so bad at Paris that the athletes were going to come out poisoned, and none of that happened. And I wonder how much of that is going on here. But Bill Daley, well, a couple things. Gary Bettman, when he says this is all on the IOC and the IIHF, I kind of get a kick out of it because most leaders and commissioners would say, we're working together to make this happen. He's like, no, it's all on them. If it doesn't happen, it's on them, which it probably is. And then with regards to the 3 feet short of the, what is it, getting 197 feet is the ice surface, 3 feet short of NHL regulation. Bill Daley said, it's not like you were walking around with a tape measure looking over their shoulder. They assumed these things would be handled. I think that's kind of the bottom line. Somebody's dropped the ball.
Oh,
do you agree?
Oh, yeah. I completely agree. And how do you not... You know the dimensions of the Olympic-sized ice and an NHL regulation ice. So I don't know who is in charge of building this venue where the hockey is going to be played. But at some point, when the guy's got like the yardstick or whatever, and he's going through, and it gets to 197. What do we needed to have? 200. 197, good enough. Like, who's doing the checks and balances on these things? You know what I mean? Like, just think that, Mosaic Stadium. Oh, we don't need that row of seats. What do we need that for? So they just continue on without telling anybody. And it's like, wait a minute. Like,
dude.
Hey.
Oh,
I know.
I got. Do you know where I'm going with this? Can you read my eyes? When they were building Mosaic Stadium, they were building Mosaic Stadium, and some of the things that were left out, and yours and my favorite engineer was in charge of telling them what they needed for the broadcast facilities, and then they didn't have them. They're like, oh, hey, the visitor's booth doesn't have a line down to the locker room for interview. Bob, no. Oh, these things happen. So that's kind of where we're at here. So just we're almost too late to get into anything else other than to say I've never beat Scruffy in anything, but I did beat him in the picks last night. I had 4 right of their NHL games, 4 of the 5. You had 3 of the 5 right, but we were both wrong on the Leafs beating Tampa Bay. They blanked him 2-0. Who would have thought Dennis Hildeby became the next Terry Sawchuk? 29 saves last night for the Leafs. I see they're 4-0-1 in their last 5. So is everybody calmed down in Leaf land for a week?
Are they in the playoffs yet?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's December.
I haven't looked. Did Austin Matthews score last night?
Yes, an empty net. Yep.
Okay, well, there you go. All is good in Toronto. Then they won and Austin Matthews scored, so all is good.
Okay. Yegor Sharangovich had 2 goals and a helper. Nazem Kadri had a goal and 2 assists. The Flames spanked Buffalo 7-4. The Flames now 7-2-1 in their past 10. Look out. Here come the Flames. And Andrew Kopp and Nate Danielson scored goals 37 seconds apart in the second period, and the visiting Detroit Red Wings rolled to a 4-0 win over Vancouver. Scruffy and I both picked the Wings to win. And I'll tell you this, we're going to get to all the other topics, a lot of football when we come back, but I was listening to Chris Pronger this morning on NHL radio, and that is a guy, Mitch, that you can't turn the radio off until he's done talking, until he's done his segment.
Good.
He's so
very good.
So good. And with, they talked about the Quinn Hughes rumors. He's like, I don't know whether they're true or not, but how can he not be mad? He's giving his best every single night, and they keep losing. He goes, obviously, could you blame him if he wanted out? That was Pronger. I don't know. He just says the things that we all kind of know, but he's the only guy that says them. We'll be right back with all the rest. This is the warm-up, the Quick Six show topics. We're rolling, and we are live on the Game Plus television network across 32 U.S. states, plus all of Canada. YouTube Live, podcast, and Mission Radio.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Are you ready? January 8th to 11th, it all goes down in Moose Jaw at the Yara Center. The Battle on the Prairies. NCAA rules. 25 elite teams. Alberta, Boston, Texas, Mexico, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. All under one roof. Come watch live. Tickets available right at the door. Pay-per-view will be available at ikslive.ca.
You have a vision. A big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
It is the RP Show here on the Game Plus Television Network, and it is the Canadian Hour. Coming up in Hour 2, we'll be on the air also on Game Plus, but also across Nevada on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network. Jared Dumba will join us for a lot more NHL talk. Then, Mitch, you got to give people what they want, so I'm going to do this. A lot of CFL fans have showed up here today. I totally get it. CFL schedule release day was never a really big thing to me, whether I worked in the league or was just a fan of the league, because it's like, oh, here's where we're going and when. Okay, next. But I also understand It's a very big deal. So I'm going to move the points around here and talk about this. The Montreal Alouettes and the Hamilton Tiger Cats will kick off the 2026 CFL season on June 4th. The league unveiled its schedule this morning with the Owls visiting the Ticats in the opener. The story says at Tim Hortons Field, they don't call it that anymore, do they? They might want to update the Canadian press. I believe it's called Hamilton Stadium now. But anyways, the first week of the season will feature 3 games. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers will visit the Calgary Stampeders June 5th. The Ottawa Red Blacks host the Edmonton Eskimos the following night. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders, picture Harvey Johnson's voice. The Saskatchewan Roughriders will begin their Grey Cup title defense on June 13th, hosting the BC Lions in a rematch of last year's West Division final. Prior to the game, the Riders will raise their 5th championship banner in franchise history.
Whoa! The Riders are going to go up against the Travis Kelce Taylor Swift wedding? My God, what are they doing?
I'm sorry, what?
Well, that's when they're getting married, is June 13th. Where have you been?
How do you know that?
Because I saw it on Twitter. They talked about it on the Sunday night game.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's like be the royal wedding. For those of us old enough, did you watch the royal wedding? Princess Di?
I saw a little bit of it.
Yeah, because this would be very similar to that. Oh, and by the way, the text line's open. I just opened at 902-518-3033 for Western Dodge. The people want to talk to you, Scruffy. The viewers really like Scruffy. Scott in Moose Jaw writes, and he says, Scruffy, did your mom make that blanket in the background? Good Ukrainian lady. What's the story on the blankie behind you?
Yeah, it was made by somebody in the family. I'm not sure who it was, but yeah, no, he's got that right.
Okay, Tony in Saskatchewan writes in. He says, good morning, Rod Squad. Mitch, I hope you had a great birthday, my friend. Did you have a great birthday, Scruffy?
Yeah, it was good. It was quiet. It was good.
He says, I'm going to be blunt. Why is the CFL so piss poor at making a schedule? I know a lot goes into this for Mosaic Stadium availability, but come on, the Riders' first game as champions is week 2. Talk about buzzkill. Your thoughts? How about we take a day off from complaining? I don't. How about we take a day off from
I just
complaint?
have two things when it comes to the schedule. When it comes to the Riders. How can you not have the defending champions playing on the opening week? Like, why are you giving them a bye? And you would think, and the CFL used to do this, they would have a Grey Cup rematch in week 1. The Montreal Alouettes and Saskatchewan Roughriders won't play one another until Thanksgiving. And then they play 2 games against one another in 5 days. How can the CFL screw this up so bad?
Okay.
Like, I
gotta
understand
stop
Labor Day weekend.
Hey, CFL fans bitching about something. It's a day that ends in Y. I'm over it. I'm not here for it. 0.3.
Fine.
And nothing against what you're saying, but I can't, and I won't.
All right.
Cameron Dicker kicked a 54-yard field goal in overtime, leading the 9-4 Los Angeles Chargers to a 22-19 win over the visiting Philadelphia Eagles on the Monday nighter. The Chargers overcame a late penalty that gave the 8-5 Eagles a chance on 4th and 4. Tony Jefferson intercepted Jalen Hurts at the 1-yard line to seal the win. Now, that was exciting. The defending Super Bowl champion Eagles have now lost 3 in a row. My turn to bitch. Frankly, the only reason I watched this game, because I don't care about the Eagles and the Chargers, was that the Lightning and the Leafs game wasn't available in my region on Prime Video. Have you had a day where you were waiting all day to watch a game, Mitch, and then when you went to turn it on, it wasn't on for some oddball reason? That's what I would like to complain about here today. Everybody wants to – I don't want to be Bugs Day Hour of Rage like your old buddy John Gormley, but this streaming is a little out of control in terms of what's available and what isn't. Do you experience that or not?
No, generally if I want to watch something, I can find it. Now that being said, when a game is on Peacock or Amazon Prime or whatever, it is a little tougher. I guess the question I would have, and I don't know the answer to this, does Amazon Prime, much like Apple with baseball games, do they have exclusivity? Or would Dave Randorf and his crew be doing the game for whoever has the Tampa network?
They would not.
So
Dave would have had the night off.
Then.
Yeah, he'd have had the night off last night.
Okay, then yeah, I find it tough if you're trying to find it on streaming or whatever. But I generally can find what I want to find if I want to find it bad enough. But as I said, I don't know what the rules are for Amazon Prime in the States compared to Canada. I have Amazon Prime. I didn't watch last night, but I just don't know if there's exclusivity for all of North America or if you could have watched it on the Lightning Network.
Well, it's just, I think more than anything, because I was talking to my good friend Mike this morning, Mydale Mike, the landman. He's in Hawaii, and he has legitimate complaints about the Chicago Blackhawks broadcast because they're friends with the Bedards, and he's like, I paid $200 for this streaming package for the Blackhawks, and like, I only get a portion of the games. And I'm sitting in Moose Jaw last week, able to watch the Jets and the Sabres on the Monday night with a U.S. subscription, but then I get down here and I can't get the Lightning and the Leafs, and I'm living in Florida. I'm like, what the hell? Maybe it's just a me thing. It's just really weird.
I don't know how it works down in the States. I do know this. I have tried to watch Amazon Prime Thursday night games on Amazon Prime, but when I go to it, I get told to go to TSN because they've got it, which defeats the purpose because I don't want to watch it on TSN because I don't want to see certain aspects of the broadcast on TSN.
Say it.
I've had enough of Takia Singh and Davis Sanchez. Let's just put it that way.
Okay. I totally get it. I understand. By the way, we're just rolling through the topics here today, and I'll sprinkle in some comments, but I just don't want CFL schedule release day to be a bitch fest. And by the way, I get it. If people have their complaints, that's totally fine, but this is not the complaint department. That's what I want to make very clear here. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes that he says, who cares? He says, Grey Cup matches are overrated. He says, and the Riders were given a bye week. The sky is falling. That's from Jeff, the Stamps fan. Jeremy in Winnipeg says the CFL should have the winning team opening like the NFL Thursday night. I'm not saying Mitch is wrong or that you're wrong, Jeremy. I'm not any of this. It's just I don't want the negativity. Seabass writes in, hey, Scruffy and Rod, forget the NFC. Are the Packers the best team in the NFL right now?
No.
I got to that was quick. Who is the best team in the NFL right now? I mean,
you know what?
Does it really matter?
This might be a little bit of a stretch, but I'd put some money down on the Houston Texans right now because that defense is lights out. And we've seen them shut down Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. We've seen them shut down Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. I'd be hard-pressed right now not to put some money down on the Houston Texans.
Well, actually, it's funny you say that. I was looking up some statistics this morning. And in the NFC, San Francisco is not currently in a playoff spot, I don't believe, or are they? Yeah, they are. San Francisco has one of the top defenses in the National Football League. The Houston Texans, with that win on Sunday night, are now in a playoff spot. So I think this year more than ever, it's like if you get in, you have a legitimate chance. But with the Eagles losing 3 in a row after last night's, and Jalen Hurts did not look great last night, but I want to remind people of this. You've been around sports a long time. You've worked in sports a long time. You get it. Fans lose their ever-picking minds when you lose week 1, week 2, week 3. They're losing their minds. If you talk to the coaches at all, and not necessarily the players, but the coaches specifically, George Cortez is a good friend of mine. I think you would call him a friend. He used to always say, we're working our way towards the playoffs. Those early losses are actually a good thing. And I could sit and talk with you about this or anybody, a coffee buddy for a long time. Florio was saying this on NBC Sports Radio. The coaches are saying the questions from the owners are getting a lot more sophisticated and a lot more pointed, i.e., why didn't you win this game? The analytics said this. Well, I know we talked about this yesterday, but it's like, you guys still don't get it. Jim Hobson talked about that. He was never a coach, right? And you want to be getting hot now. Even Hoppy wanted to go 18-0 with the Rough Riders. It's not possible, Jim. We can't all, nobody does. Okay? And you can't lose your mind over one little loss. Fix your mistakes and get better. So you're talking about the Texans. They've won 5 in a row. Like they're getting hot. Now is the time. Who were the other teams shot out of a cannon at the start of Colts?
The Indianapolis Colts? Where are they now? They've got Phillip Rivers coming back.
Is there nobody better?
Right? Where's Colin Kaepernick now?
I was going to say, where's Joe Flacco? But we know where he is.
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
Put Carly Ursay in there. She's getting more stuff done. Phillip Rivers hasn't played since, I think, 2020. Something isn't
Phillip Rivers is 45 years old.
Tom Brady won a Super Bowl at 45.
Put him up against the Seahawks defense. We could see seniors abuse on national television Sunday.
Here we go. Yeah, Bill in the Queen City is just rubbing salt in my wound. He says last night's prime broadcast was a good panel and color comments. Oh, yeah, rub it in my face. I wasn't able to get it. I'm literally not available in your region. I'm like, how that? Why am I paying for this?
Isn't it the same group that does those games?
Pardon me, isn't it what?
Isn't it the same group that does those games? He's talking about the panel. Isn't it the same group? Isn't it Forsland and Hickey doing the play-by-play?
Well, I don't know because I wasn't able to see it.
But you've seen Amazon Prime games. Like, what was different last night?
I flipped it on the other night, and there was a new gal. It was the Sabres Jets. There was a new gal hosting. So
okay.
It's not always the same. But you're right. I knew Forsland was in town to do it because he was on NHL radio visiting with Lachlan and Still Electricity.
Yes, I heard that. Yeah, I heard that yesterday
Forsland
too.
makes all the broadcasts great. Jason in Red Deer says, so I have to subscribe to Sportsnet for hockey, TSN for CFL, and DAZN for NFL. LOL. What are you LOLing about? You're 100% right. And to be honest, I sat down last night and I'm like, I'm paying $40 a month Canadian, which I don't mind for the ESPN Plus streaming service. I'm going, okay, I'll get the Leafs and the Lightning. Oh, it's not on. So then I go to primevideo.com. Well, yeah, I guess I should break down and do that. But remember back in the day when we all had Fire Sticks and they lasted like a week and they broke? They're not like that anymore? Are they actually reliable now?
Yes, they are. I'm watching one right now.
With us on it?
No. You know what? Funny enough, I can't find this network on a Fire Stick. Unless I'm not looking in the right spot.
Well, we'll talk to the game. I know that the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network is on. But anyways, I'm not the TV guide. We'll get back on track when we come back. Scruffy's with me. Habs at Montreal. We got to make our NHL picks. We'll be right back here on the Game Plus Television Network, YouTube Live podcast and Mission.
Are you ready? January 8th to 11th. It all goes down in Moose Jaw at the Yara Center. The battle on the prairies. NCAA rules. 25 elite teams. Alberta, Boston, Texas, Mexico, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. All under one roof. Come watch live. Tickets available right at the door. Pay-per-view will be available at ikslive.ca.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody, on the Game Plus Television Network. It is the Canadian Hour. Yeah, the CFL schedule was released today for 2026. If you want to bitch about it, head over to our Facebook page. That's what social media is for, bitching, not this show. Scruffy is with me. It's December, and it's hockey time. The junior hockey report is for the Mad Greek Eatery in Moose Jaw. Gavin McKenna headlines the 27 players Hockey Canada has invited to its World Junior Training Camp ahead of the 2026 tourney in Minnesota. The Penn State freshman is one of 6 returnees from last year's roster. Canada opens the World Junior Hockey Championship on December 26th against Czechia. Scruffy, I had to be reminded this morning while listening to NHL radio that the USA is the defending 2-time World Junior Hockey Championship winner. I forgot that, but there's so much international competition. It is what it is, and we're kind of all focused on the Olympics. But I did read your column that you posted to rodpeterson.com this weekend about Gavin McKenna. You said some say he might slip out of the number 1 spot because he's not having a great year at Penn State. What have you heard? What are they saying about Gavin McKenna?
Well, they're just saying that he's not lighting it up the way that he should be. And like I put in the column, like this is the reason why I think that the Western Hockey League, i.e. the Canadian Hockey League, is the best developmental league. You know, you're playing 3 or 4 times a week. You're playing against guys that are 16 to 20. And Gavin McKenna, as an 18-year-old, is now playing against 21, 22-year-olds. He's only playing twice a week. I've seen Penn State play a couple of games this year, thanks to the Fire Stick. Gavin McKenna doesn't look out of place, but to me, Gavin McKenna looks like a 16-year-old playing in the Western Hockey League because he's trying to find that open ice and deal with that physically, because it's different, obviously, competing against a 19-year-old than it is a 22-year-old. And I think when Gavin McKenna goes to the World Juniors, he's going to light it up. And those that are saying, I don't know if he's the top guy anymore, will change their mind in a big hurry.
When you say they are saying, are you referring to fans? Like, because I know you've got impeccable sources.
There's a couple of media people. One of them a very good friend of ours.
Say that. Scouts. What are the scouts saying? That's all I care about. I don't care what the media is saying.
Well, the last scouts I talked to, because of course they're not watching McKenna play because they're watching the Western Hockey League.
Yep.
So they're just seeing what I'm seeing. Like, as I said, I watched Penn State play against Minnesota a couple of weeks ago. Gavin McKenna, the first game, he was an average player. The second game, you noticed him. He was one of the best players on the ice. When it comes to the World Juniors, Gavin McKenna will be the number 1 player on the ice. I have no doubt about that.
We'll find out.
So,
that's why we got to watch.
Yep.
That's why we got to watch. That's what makes it very interesting. But for you or anybody else to say he went to the NCAA for his development, I would say, bullshit. He went for $700,000 to $900,000. And by the way, who can blame him? That's it. Period. End of story. So the Panthers are now out of town. I don't have the ability to talk to their scouts, but I can watch the World Juniors with my own eyes, and I'll see myself about Gavin McKenna. But he went for money. Nobody can blame him. It is what it is. And by the way, I had a call last night, and I got to be careful how I word this, but it was a dad, and his son is being offered the bag in NCAA money from one really big school. And he's like, yet the school that he's at, he really likes his coaching. He likes the town, but it's way less money. They can't compete with the big school. What should we do? I'm like, why are you calling me?
So going from an NCAA school to another NCAA school?
Yeah. Transfer portal. Yeah, because the money's floating around like crazy. And he's like, you've been in this position before. I'm like, no, I haven't. So it's basically take the bag or stay where you're happy. Because it's short term. These college careers are short. It's not like it's the rest of his life, you know? So anyways, this is what the players are dealing with right now. It's a money decision. It's unfortunate, but at least they're making the decision at 19, 20 as opposed to 15 as what the junior players had to do back in the day. Now, as we continue, as I say, oh man, Scruffy, it's going too fast with you. I don't even know what point this is, but Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love, Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza, Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia, and Ohio State quarterback Julian Sayin are the finalists for the Heisman. It was announced last night. It'll be awarded on Saturday night. Mendoza and Sayin led teams ranked 1-2 in the college football playoff bracket. Love did not because he's at Notre Dame. You said yesterday the Fighting Irish needs to quit crying, and I could not agree with you more. And to be honest, it's kind of settling down. This is not like an FSU snub situation. I think everybody hates Notre Dame, so nobody's really that upset except for Notre Dame that they didn't get in. You know?
By the way, if I can just interject on the Notre Dame thing.
Yeah.
If you're people out there that are interested in this whole Notre Dame scenario and what they have done and how they've taken their ball and gone home, if you can go to social media and find the head coach of Vanderbilt talking about his team not getting into the CFP, we need more people like Vanderbilt's coach, because he basically hits it on the head as to why they are not moving on. And Marcus Freeman, if it's Marcus Freeman or more so maybe the AD at Notre Dame, they need to maybe listen to this and be a little bit more mature in their behavior. Because this Notre Dame thing is sickening. And the fact that I saw their schedule yesterday for this coming year, and they have this goal about being in the top 12, are you going to play somebody? Because they're not again.
Well, when you say it's sickening, there's a lot of sickening things off of it. But what everybody's saying that don't like Notre Dame, particularly their rivals, we're taking our ball and we're going home. That it looks petulant of them to do that. And by the way, let's hope sports doesn't mirror life, because if it does, we're in for a hell of some big problems in life. Yep. Don't use college football as a microcosm of life, because if you do that, like then the Lane Kiffin thing is still abhorrent. I don't care. Again, the landman who I was talking to this morning, Mike, he goes, Coach has been leaving before bowl games for years. Very true. But because it was Lane Kiffin and for more money, it's a much bigger deal now. But just specifically with Notre Dame, is it sending a really bad message to the world that they're like, we didn't get in, so we quit? It's pretty childish, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And like I heard yesterday on NFL radio, they're talking about Notre Dame. Well, if they had a 16-team CFP, Notre Dame would likely be in. But then the teams that were 17 and 18 would be crying. So now let's move it to a 20-team CFP. Well, now teams 21 and 22 would be crying. Like, you can't, right? You
we
can't
saw this
perfect this. Even look at the
ahead.
college basketball tournament. There's 68 teams that get in, and there are teams going, well, why didn't we get in? Like, you can't.
I know.
Like, at some point, just suck it up and realize, look, there's only 12 spots. You can't get them all. Look at the complaints that are going to be when the Olympic teams are announced. People are going to go, well, why isn't this player there? Why isn't that player there? How many times, Roddy, when the World Juniors were on? When Jordan Wheel, the former Regina Pat, where is he playing now?
Forever.
How come he's not on that team? He's the best. Well,
that was
you
me.
Can't have everybody.
That was me saying that. Oh, I noticed, by the way, there was no Pats on the World Juniors roster, but this little dry spell won't last for long.
No.
Right?
In fact, there's only one Saskatchewan kid, and that's Cole Reshney, who's at North Dakota.
Another guy that fled for the NCAA. Don't get me started. Well, we have a Manhattan phone book of text messages to get to after you've left, Mitch. So I don't even have time to get into them. So thanks for coming on today. Enjoy your Ukrainian blanket there. And if you're driving, be safe, for the love of God. I've heard you guys have had freezing rain. It was raining here in Florida. I get that in December, not in Sask.
Yeah, it's a rainy, snowy day right now. Have a good one.
Well, enjoy that. Stick with us, Mitch. Hang on. We got a few minutes before we go, but I will tell you 902-518-3033 is the text line. Wayne in BC says, good morning, Rod and Scruffy. I'd be miffed, to say the least, if I paid $40 per month and then couldn't watch the games I wanted to watch. I remember when Access was $32 a month. I'm okay with the $40. I needed it. But I do remember when Access was $32. It's not that much more now. I still have an Access cable subscription, to be honest with you. I'll never cut the cord. I still do.
Oh.
Well, there's sponsor of rodpeterson.com. We're great partners. Okay, Scruffy. Good stuff. Don't exit out just yet, other than be safe. And I guess we'll talk to you when we talk to you. Be right back here on
Monday.
Game Plus TV.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, we got a lot of topics on the table today. Golden Corral of Sports Talk. Why we'll stop for a second and tell you, when you're looking for strategic communications with impact, Outlaw Communications delivers, led by Tony Plater with 35 years of communication and leadership experience. He specializes in media relations training, leadership coaching, and crisis communication strategy. Call Tony at 306-570-6913 or visit tonyplater.com. Didn't get to our NHL picks with Scruffy, but that's okay. There's 10 games tonight. It would have taken too long, and I beat him. So I'm going out a winner. 4-3. I beat Scruffy in our picks last night. Let me just do a sports update. Shohei Ohtani has won the Associated Press Male Athlete of the Year for the 4th time, tying Lance Armstrong, LeBron James, and Tiger Woods for the most among male honorees. That's the only sports point I put down. I'll add another one in here. Terry Rozier of the Miami Heat has pleaded not guilty to charges he helped gamblers place bets on his performance in an NBA game. The 31-year-old point guard formally entered the plea in Brooklyn federal court Monday on federal wire fraud and money laundering conspiracy charges. And while we're at it, because as I said, we're in the Canadian hour, I'll say it again. I understand this, it is Christmas Day for CFL fans. The Montreal Alouettes and Hamilton Tiger Cats will kick off the 2026 CFL season June 4th. The schedule was announced today. The first week will feature 3 games. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers visit the Calgary Stampeders June 5th. The Ottawa Redblacks host the Edmonton Eskimos the following night. The defending Grey Cup champion Saskatchewan Roughriders have a bye in week 1 and begin their Grey Cup title defense June 13th when they host the BC Lions. Sports Update is brought to you by our great friends at the Ultimate Fan Zone. Are you looking for the hottest fan gear? Swing by Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store in Moose Jaw or shop online at ultimatefanzone.ca where real fans get their gear. Okay, everything's working into what I would like here. I have some notes written down that there's no point having notes when Scruffy's on because Scruffy just going to do his thing. But a lot of these comments coming in from the viewers, like Larry in Medicine Hat writes in, he says, I'm disappointed Calgary isn't hosting the Riders 2 times in the regular season. Instead, it's BC. Love to go to those Rider games at Stamps. I'd love to see the Riders at Stamps game. Hey, it is what it is. People are complaining, and I say, can we stop complaining for a day? That's a mild complaint. Tony in Saskatoon's watching, and he had a bigger beef, and I said, can we just stop the complaint? I'm not here for it. If you're upset, just take it somewhere else. That's all. And Tony writes in, he says, you're right, Rod. Let's go glass half full. It'll be a great night as the Riders raise their banner. Thanks for setting the world in a better orbit, Rod. Signed, Tony from Seth. Well, thank you for being so open-minded and not turning your television off. But a continuation to the story, because I didn't want to say too much yesterday because the situation was still ongoing. But there's been a conclusion to what I feel. Saturday night when I was speaking in Saskatchewan at a sports banquet, minus 24 degrees was the minus 24 Celsius was the temperature before wind chill. I had vehicle trouble, and it was my backup vehicle that I only drive in the summer in Canada. It was done. I left it on the side of the road, like on an approach, okay, safely, and got a ride to Regina. And I'm like, I'm done. I have a 10 a.m. flight out of Regina, 90 miles from where I was Sunday morning. I'm getting on that plane. I'm flying back to Florida. I'm done with this vehicle, the one with the X-rated nickname that I can't repeat on the air, even though technically none of the words are explicit. It has an explicit connotation. As of Saturday night, I'm done with it. But here's the problem. Got through the show here on Monday, called the tow truck, told them exactly where the vehicle was on the road, like literally dead in the middle of Saskatchewan. Guy calls him back an hour later. He's like, are you sure it's where you said? I'm like, pretty damn sure, yep. No van here. Yeah, somebody took it. Are you listening, producer Corey? Somebody took it for a joyride and abandoned it somewhere else. But it's been found, and I'm still done with it, but we at least know where it is. And I won't go any more other than to say that the RCMP was briefly involved. I didn't commit a crime, although I was a little worried that I might have. They're like, they actually laughed. And we're done with that vehicle. So here we are. So as I was standing on the side of the road Saturday night, I'm like, I can't, almost the middle of the night. No hotels are open. The tow truck company might not even be. I'm done. I'm out. And then I got up Sunday and I'm like, I'm safe. I'm warm. I made it. There's a lot bigger problems in the world than what I'm dealing with right now. Made it home. Why I'm saying all this is, I don't know, it's just, I will tell you the old me would still be swearing, ranting and raving and worrying. But as far as when the Rough Riders play and raise their banner, I'm not going to get that worked up about that. I'm sorry. Laverne writes, I think we've all had those nights. Have we not? Driving in Canadian winters. I'm just over it. Laverne in the Frontier City writes, and he says, interesting thing about Gavin McKenna in Penn State is that they started their Christmas break November 23rd, so he will not have played a game since then. I get it, but he's young, 18. He'll be fine. He'll still be the best player in the tournament, we think. But again, we don't know, but we'll all be watching. The kid is sensational. What did we think was going to happen when he went to college? And maybe think about this. I was at that Hockey Scouts Hall of Fame induction in the summertime in July. Who was I with? 400 hockey scouts in Okotoks. We're all talking about this. And they're like, him going to Penn State might hurt his number one status if he doesn't light it up down there. And guess what? He's not lighting it up. He's not interested necessarily. And I know they want to develop, but he would have developed just fine in the dub. He went for the money. And we'll see how he does at the World Jays. You're saying Laverne might be a little rusty at 18? I'm pretty sure he'll be fine. Just because, I'll throw this in here. Scott's watching in Moose Jaw. And he writes in 902-518-3033. He says, you remember years ago, the CFL didn't even televise Rough Riders home games. No, I remember it very well. And I remember the year that we lifted the blackout for the home games across the province of Saskatchewan. In retrospect, if Jim Hobson was still alive, our former president, I would have loved to have asked him, how much resistance did you get from the Rough Riders board to doing that? Because they don't like change there. But he did it because Hoppy was strong like bull. Got it done. Next year, sold out every game. That's the argument for lifting blackouts. But what the hell do I know? All kinds of comments coming in here. It is a fun time of year. You feel like we're coming out of baseball. We're coming out of, quite some time back that there's less sports going on. And it's just as busy, if not more busy. Jeremy in Winnipeg writes in, he says, Notre Dame would beat probably half the playoff field or more. Yeah, that's how they feel. But the thing is, we'll never know. And it's a selection committee. So there is no better way than what they've found than sort this out. Somebody's always going to be upset. That's life. Doesn't matter if it's the playground or the biggest sport, college football. James writes in from the Queen City. He says, the bowl games outside of the playoffs serve zero purpose anymore and need to disappear. James, tell me if I'm right in this. I saw the list today, the ranking of the bowl games from importance, and it was like 1 to 35. Wasn't there, up until recently, more than 50 bowl games? Did a bunch go away? Like, I get what you're saying, but we have the Boca Bowl just down the street from my house, and it's going to be Toledo versus Louisville. I'll go to it. I've gone to it every year. And so, yeah, they don't pack it. They don't even come close. They don't even get 50% of the stadium. Nobody here wants to go watch Louisville and Toledo. But for the kids, it's important. I went to it the year South Florida and Syracuse played in it. It's big for the kids. They worked all year. You need to have something to work towards in a season, in life. So, no, I get what you're saying, but it's all about cash, money grab. To sponsor these bowl games is, on the low end, hundreds of thousands of dollars. On the high end, into the millions. It remains about being a moneymaker. Colt writes in, he says, why does the Grey Cup game get moved up every year? The 113th Grey Cup is November 15th. I would suggest weather. I think that's the only reason. It's still weird. I was one of the ones promoting moving the season up, and I still feel that way. But it's now weird, especially being here in America when it's U.S. Thanksgiving and there's no Grey Cup on the Sunday. That was always a thing. It was always so much fun. But they're trying to avoid the weather, the bad weather, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea. Coming up next hour, we're going to have Jared Dumba talking all things NHL with us on a 10-game night in the National Hockey League. We have a few other topics we haven't got to here today, so we'll do that next hour when we go to air across Nevada. Did I get all my points? Well, yes and no. I'm still thinking about what I'm getting all the time is people say to me, you're up against overdrive. You're up against overdrive. And I'm like, are we? Can the guys at game? I don't even think we are the same time slot as overdrive. The replay is. But I get a kick out of that because people always used to say, you're up against Green Zone. You're up against Green Zone, the little Regina radio show. And the fact that people are saying, you're up against overdrive and those guys, I think that's kind of cool. I'm buddies with Jeff O'Neill. Brian Haze was the producer for Off the Record. He booked me for that show back in 2008. We're not going against overdrive. Us and overdrive are going against a whole lot of other shows. So I'm glad that you've narrowed it down to these two. That's what I think about that. We'll be right back, everybody. Thanks for hanging with us today on a Tuesday here on the Game Plus TV network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
We have liftoff. It's the RP Show coming to you on a variety of platforms and channels. We're across Canada on the Game Plus television network, plus 32 U.S. states. across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. I should mention streaming on YouTube Live, podcast form if you're finding us there, and 1700 AM Mission Radio. I don't give them as much love as we should. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the show. Hi, it's your affable host here. We've got a lot to get to over the next hour, and Jared Dumba is our guest from the famous hockey-playing Dumba family. That's where we start today on this Tuesday with a quick 6 show topics. If you're paying attention, we very rarely ever get through all 6. But number 1 is hockey, and it has to do with our poll question today on the program. NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman said the league is constantly getting reassurances, quote, from the International Olympic Committee and the International Ice Hockey Federation that everything will be fine when it comes to the still unfinished arenas for the 2026 Milan Cortina Games in Italy. You know, it's now less than 2 months since the first game, and the rink's not done yet. The commissioner, speaking at NHL Board of Governors meetings in Colorado, said, quote, there's still work ongoing on the rinks and the ice conditions. It's something that we're monitoring closely and we have absolutely no control over. This is all on the IOC and the AAIHF, unquote. There's been hand-wringing going on this for quite some time, for weeks, if not months, certainly in Canada, but they've been talking about it for quite a while. I'm getting not a kick out of it. This isn't a good situation. I find it very interesting. And further to the story, it's been learned. Why am I laughing? Because it's not my problem. That's why I'm laughing. The ice surface is 3 feet short of NHL standard, 200 feet. This is 197, which, let's be honest, it's not that big a deal. I'm kind of getting a kick out of Bill Daly. Like, he's the deputy commissioner of the NHL. And he's a cool guy. I've been around him a little since I started covering the NHL here in South Florida, but I've been around Bettman a lot because he lives here and he had a news conference here recently. I was standing right beside the man. I like Bettman, and I find it interesting that he's like, this is all on the IOC and the AAIHF. Most times you would hear people say, we're all in this together. We'll find a solution. No. If this fails, it's on them. And with regards to how do you build a rink that's not to code, basically, the quote from Bill Daly was, it's not like we're following them around with a tape measure. The inference being we expected people to do their jobs properly. Is that too much to ask? So anyways, time's getting tight. The quote that's making the rounds from Bill Daly is they're cautiously optimistic that this will be finished on time and the NHL players will be participating in the Olympics. And that is our poll question today, which I said it is brought to you by EMJ Marketing. Transform your audience with powerful presentations from speakers from the EMJ Elite Speakers Bureau. Check out their website for more information at emjmarketing.com. The poll question is, do you believe NHL players will end up playing in the Olympics? It's a yes from me, dog. And it's a yes from our Hour 1 co-host, Scruffy, when we were on the Game Plus only portion of the broadcast. And it's a yes from 75% of the viewers. So I've been talking about this now for the past several days because it's come into my purview now. And I'm like, is this just the media jerking us around, which they like to do? Or is this a real thing? I guess more than anything, what did Gary say? Yeah, we're tight. It's a Gary thing for me. We have absolutely no control over. Grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change. Okay, moving on. I'll make this point too. There are 10 games in the National Hockey League tonight with 4 Canadian teams in action, and the Vegas Golden Knights are at the New York Islanders. I'll do the picks later. I'm not going to do it here because I got football things that I want to get to. But of those games, the Edmonton Oilers will be aiming to extend their win streak to 3 games when they host the Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo got motorboated in Calgary last night. Elsewhere, the New Jersey Devils visit the Ottawa Senators. The Montreal Canadiens host the Tampa Bay Lightning. And the Dallas Stars visit the Winnipeg Jets. If you have questions or comments for Jared Dumba from the famous Dumba hockey-playing family. Get them in now, 902-518-3033 on the text line for Western Dodge. Are you ready for a new ride? I am. Head to Western Dodge, where the deals are real and the service is legendary. 902-518-3033 is the line to reach me here in the studio. Hey, Kirk, thank you for pointing. I wasn't sure. Kirk writes in, he says, hey, Rod, Overdrive is live from 4 to 6 p.m. in the Eastern time zone. What Kirk from Toronto, Ontario, Canada is pointing out is TSN's flagship talk show, Overdrive, airs. The TSN is Canada's ESPN. Live 4 to 6. Well, we're live noon to 2, so we're not actually up against Overdrive. So why is this as a thing that the Nevada viewers are going, what are you talking about? As I was going through customs in Denver on Sunday, 3 farmers were with me from Canada, and they were like, yeah, we love your show, but it's up against Overdrive, so we watch whatever's interesting us the most. And I'm like, oh, gee, thanks. I'm just happy that you're watching me at all. So they're not competition. We're not up against Overdrive. And as we've just deduced, certainly not live. But thanks for watching. As I say, did I say it yesterday? I know I put it on my social media. You can't compete against me. I want us both to win. And that is an absolute fact. By the way, some may, if you're watching on the streaming, have clicked on this going, oh, we had an image on there of Marcel Deon. For the older people, they'll get it. For the younger people, gather around, kids. On the thumbnail on YouTube for our show today had a photo of Marcel Deon, plus the rink in Italy. That's what we were going to be talking about today. And we have not talked about Marcel Deon today, and here's why I'm just going to bring this up now. Anze Kopitar scored last night for the LA Kings in LA's 4-2 victory over the Utah Mammoth. And that moved Kopitar to within 15 points of tying Marcel Deon as the all-time leading scorer in Los Angeles Kings history. Why are you bringing this up, Rod? Because I love Marcel Deon a lot. And anybody who watched him back in the day in the National Hockey League loves him too. And when Connor Bedard was coming up, now the face of the NHL, I just heard Spit and Chickless say this the other day. Biznasty said Connor Bedard's the face of the NHL. Therefore, he should be on the Olympic team, which Jared Dumba wants to talk about when he after the first break here. But I broadcast Bedard's games in junior hockey on television. So the people were saying to me, what's he like? I said, he's like Marcel Deon. And so many people were like, who's that? I'm like, what do you mean, who's that? He's the all-time leading scorer for the Los Angeles Kings. Because there was no, when a lot of kids are coming up in hockey, through junior, we have somebody very clearly to compare them to. And there wasn't for Bedard, not in recent memory. It's been 40 years since Marcel Deon was putting the city of Los Angeles on the map as a hockey town. And make no mistake, it was him that did it. And just thick, with an unbelievable shot. Connor Bedard. Ta-da! And now he's in the news as he'll become the second all-time leading scorer in LA Kings history, which is kind of sad, but life goes on, and let's be honest, Anze Kopitar has earned it with a couple of Stanley Cup victories with the LA Kings. So anyways, and in 1984, if I have that year right, the LA Kings came through on a tour across Western Canada, whatever Luc Robitaille's rookie season was. And the LA Kings were playing the Canadian men's national hockey team on a tour in various cities, and I went to it. My dad, we didn't miss any of these. If there was a chance to go, we'd go. And I'll never forget going to watch Tiger Williams, Marcel Deon, Luc Robitaille, and whoever else, I'm guessing Dave Taylor, Charlie Simmer. Oh, my God, it was so great watching those guys. The Triple Crown line, yeah, I'll move on. It's 2025, Rod. Point 3, Cameron Dicker kicked a 54-yard field goal in overtime, leading the 9-4 Los Angeles Chargers to a 22-19 victory over the visiting Philadelphia Eagles on Monday Night Football. The Chargers overcame a late penalty that gave the 8-5 Eagles a chance on 4th and 4. Tony Jefferson intercepted Jalen Hurts at the 1 to seal the win. That was an unbelievable football game, and I got to be honest, full disclosure, the only reason I was watching it was because the Tampa Bay-Toronto game was blacked out in my region of South Florida. I'm like, what am I paying for? I can't watch the Lightning in South Florida. Got it. But history was made in that football game, too. I've said on this show many times, my favorite NFL announcer right now, pundit, whatever you want to say, is Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk. And this morning he was saying, and NBC Sports, you watch him every night, Sunday Night Football in America. He goes, they have been tracking play-by-play stats since 1978. And last night, Jalen Hurts turning the ball over twice on the same play has never happened since they began tracking play-by-play stats since 1978. How did he do that? Jalen Hurts threw a pick, and the defender, bringing it back, fumbled it, recovered by Jalen Hurts, and he fumbled it again. So he threw a pick and fumbled on the same play. Never happened. Not at least since 1978, and my guess is it's probably never happened at all. And I'll say it again. Are you like me when you cozy into the lazy boy to watch sports? You just get a warm, fuzzy feeling of what's going to happen tonight. I do. Anyways, that happened last night, and that makes, I don't know. Anytime the Eagles lose, I'm happy. Sorry. I know you shouldn't wish for that, but I'm a Cowboys fan here. I stopped for a second and just dipped in on the comments here. John in Edmonton's watching right, and he says, the IIHF says, don't worry about the ice surface at the Olympics. Gary Bettman is not happy, and fans are worried that NHL players will get injured. What is your take on the Olympic ice issue? Well, we've been talking about it for the last 2 days, John, and on this show, and I know you just mentioned you can't handcuff yourself to this program because you have a life, but it would probably make your life better if you did. But we've been talking about that, and I said yesterday, if there was ever any athletes that would put up with it, it's NHL players. Nobody's going to get hurt on an ice surface that's 3 feet short. Oh, thank you, Eric in Vancouver, getting me back on point. Not that I was off track, but I was going off track thanks to John in Edmonton. Point 4, the Indianapolis Colts turning back the clock with their top 2 quarterbacks hurt. They brought in 44-year-old Phillip Rivers for a workout today. Rivers last played in the NFL in 2020, and he's been coaching an Alabama high school team since 2021. Colts have lost 3 in a row. They're done, so it doesn't matter who they play at quarterback. Weird story. By the way, sign up for the Rod Squad newsletter. You see it on the screen. It's brought to you by Suds Full-Service Car Wash. Fuel your fleet's finesse with Suds Regina's unbeatable cleaning packages. They'll shine like new every time. Visit sudsregina.com. I can't even remember what point I'm on at now. I will say this for the Canadian Football League fans in both countries. It is a very big day for Canadian Football League fans. The Montreal Alouettes, the schedule came out today. The Montreal Alouettes and Hamilton Tiger Cats will kick off the 2026 CFL season June 4th. Go to CFL.ca for the schedule. Fans of the Saskatchewan Roughriders were briefly miffed that their team had a bye in week 1. I nipped that in the bud. Please stop complaining. You just won the Grey Cup. Chill. This must be like 0.5. Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love, Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza, Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia, and OSU quarterback Julian Sayin are the finalists for the Heisman Trophy, given to the top player in college football. The Heisman Trophy Trust announced this year's finalists on Monday night. They're invited to New York for the award presentation on Saturday night. Mendoza and Sayin lead teams that are ranked 1-2 in the college football playoff bracket. Love did not lead a team to the college football playoff. He's with Notre Dame. Notre Dame is out of the 12-team bracket. I'm sure you've heard all that. And they have, I'm trying to find a nicer way to say what everybody else is saying. They're taking their ball and going home. They said, we will not be participating in any bowl games because we have moved on to next year already. And are they getting soundly ripped apart for that decision? We're not playing. It is quite petulant. That's college football. That's society. Oh, Snowman has checked in. Snowman, would you please write me on Facebook? I need to get with you. The Snowman says, oh, the old Snowman. He writes that he's watching streaming. He's in Indiana. He says, the Heisman goes to Mendoza. Says the guy from Indiana. John in Edmonton says, since you're on the American Hour, sorry, Vegas Golden Knights, and you lost Carter Hart. He just started with you. How are you guys dealing? Jersey 3-0 tonight. Nice try, John. They shut out New Jersey without Carter Hart. CFL fans just waiting under the weeds like an alligator in the swamp. Jeff the Stamps fan says, someone has to have a week 1 bye. That's what I said. Talking NHL with Jared Dumba. When we come back, we are on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. It is the RP Show on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV. Just ahead of Jared Dumba. Daryl texts in. He says, hey, Rod, I'm happy when you're happy. My Chargers win, made me happy. Eagles lose, made you happy. Win-win for both of us. And Rick is watching. He writes in and he says, Connor Bedard is not the face of the NHL. Seriously, it's McKinnon, McJesus, McCarr, ... Let's start there with our hockey analyst, Jared Dumba, from the famous hockey-playing Dumba family. Who is, if you had to name one guy, who is the face of the National Hockey League right now?
Well, you have to say McDavid, I think, but, Nate McKinnon's right there as well. Sidney Crosby's been doing it for years. Look what he's doing this year. I'd say that's kind of the trifecta right there of players, but there's a lot of young up-and-comers that are poised to take those seats very, very quickly.
Can we, not you and I, we never argue, but for everybody else, can we just have a debate and not fight? Because again, I said I saw in Spit and Chicklets, Biz said that Bedard's the face of the NHL right now. Listen, if he's not now, he's going to be soon, Jared. I mean, I know you're following what Chicago's doing very closely.
Yeah, and I mean, there's you got all these people in the debate, who's better, him or Celebrini? I say, who cares? You got two generational players coming in at the same time. It's just like Ovi coming in at the same time. Let's just enjoy what they're doing and not worry about who's better. You got to compare a whole bunch of things there. You got to look at line mates. What line mates have you had? What systems are you playing under? Ice time, stuff like that, which I know they both get a lot of that, but there's a whole bunch more that goes into it. Let's just be happy as fans that we got these guys to watch for another 2 decades, possibly.
Yeah, and I don't think Rick's starting anything. And obviously, you and I are both a little Bedard biased. That's the way it is. Okay, you gave me a list of things you want to talk about. You can talk about anything. Game Plus is on the air, anchored in Toronto. Let's start there with the Leafs. They are 4-0-1 in their last 5. I picked Tampa to beat them last night. I did not think Dennis Hildeby would become the next Johnny Bauer, which I guess he was last night. Did you watch that game?
I caught not the whole thing, but I caught a good portion of it. I actually picked the Leafs. I just had that feeling, the way that they're rolling. I figured it was time. A lot of things are coming together with the Leafs. I think I'm one of the only Leafs fans in the world that hasn't panicked this year. And the reason why is you have to look at what's gone on. You get rid of your biggest piece, Marner, and you got your superstar Matthews, who was nicked up last year, still a little nicked up. We're not sure what it is, as we know. So he's getting used to a new line mate, trying to get over something. You got new DNA coming in on the team. Guys from other teams that are good players, but they got to find a role. They got a new coach, new system. Everything's new. That stuff's going to take a while, and then you're missing your starting goaltender, Joseph Wall. You're missing Wall for how long? And your backup's never been a starter before, so you're not expecting that to turn out great in the beginning of the year. There was some bumps, there's some other things that went on, other little nicks and injuries and stuff, but it's starting to come together now. And I think as everybody starts to pull together and start playing the way the coach wants, I think we're going to see the good results from that new DNA going into the new year.
And whether you follow the Spit and Chicklets or not, it's hard to ignore what they say. Like, I don't follow Ryan Whitney. I don't really care for him. But I saw what he said about the Oilers. He's like, here come the Oilers, as an Edmonton alum. I'm like, oh, yeah, they've won 2 in a row. All of a sudden, plan the parade. Or is he right?
You know what? With Edmonton, I think it's a wait and see. I think it's going to be a wait and see of what they do before the deadline. They're going to need something, whether that's whether they make a change in goal. I don't know how they're going to do that or how much that's going to help. A lot of people are pointing to Binnington. In my opinion, bringing in an aging veteran, yeah, he won last year at the Four Nations, and he's won a cup before. But look at his numbers compared to Skinner's. Is he going to come and change the game? Maybe he does get excited, but that wouldn't be the play I'd be looking for. You know what? I think they need to add a little, maybe something on defense. But what people got to remember with the Oilers, they always start slow, and they've been to 2 cup finals. Look over to Florida right now. That's a long season. That's a lot of wear and tear on the body. You tend to get injuries. You tend to get guys that are tired. Everybody's wondering again, what's going on with Edmonton's defense. You know what? It matters. You got to get into the playoffs, and then it's going to matter in the playoffs. And that's when we tend to see those guys step up. For the guys that are a little older, going to 2 straight cup finals, you shouldn't be expecting a hot start. But the Oilers are starting to come around, and I think we'll see what they do here. They're going to have to make a couple of tweaks, and that'll be the time to judge. But you know what? They're on the right trajectory right now.
For the Nevada viewers about the Golden Knights, although it seems like they've been up and down, and it feels like mostly down, they had a 4-game home losing streak here recently. They've never been out of a playoff spot. What's your read on the Golden Knights today as they go into Long Island tonight?
I think they got everything you need to be able to go all the way this year. And there's generally 4 or 5, 6 teams in the league that have that, and you got to play the games to see what happens, obviously. But if you look at the way the Golden Knights are built, number one, you've got Jekyll, who's one of the best players in the world. If he was playing, I mean, he's playing just over 21 minutes a game. You put him at 23, 24 minutes a game in every situation, which a lot of coaches would do. He'd be sitting right at the top of that scoring race. He's not far off, but you got one of the best players in the world. You've got a Mitch Marner. Marner's going to keep coming around. He's just over 17 minutes a game. He's used to playing that 22, 23 minutes a game. So it's a bit of an adjustment there, and he'll figure that out going into the new year. But look at you got great defense. You got great forwards. It's such a well-rounded team, and we know that the coach there likes to play everybody a little more equally. So that's where you look at everybody's stats. Nobody's really at the top of the league, but everybody's not too far off. And you got a bunch of guys that can just heat up at any time. And we've seen that with them before. You get the right guys heating up at the right time in the playoffs. You get Marner to come around that second half of the year. You get the goaltending shored up, which looks like it's coming around. And we know that they're going to be getting a Hill back later in the year, or later this year, supposed to be end of December. So we'll see how it goes. Hitting his stride, extra rest for him. If he gets hot down the stretch, it's going to be very exciting for Knights fans. I think a big playoffs, especially with the new additions this year.
NHL analyst Jared Dumba with us from the famous hockey-playing Dumba family. I like to call him the Tulsa King, which I should have built that up more today that you were coming on. The Tulsa King, former Tulsa Oiler, right? You were an Oiler.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tulsa Oilers.
Tulsa Oilers. Yeah, exactly. Okay, listen, I'm going to dip back on a few other teams in a second, but our poll question is today for EMJ Marketing, do you believe NHL players will end up playing in the Olympics? You see the hand-wringing, the consternation, the furrowed brows. Gary's like, this is all on the IOC. Bettman, I think they're going to play. What do you think?
I think they're going to play, but with that being said, you always got to take care of your players. You got to look out for the best of your players. And if you know what I think it might lean on is how close they are at the end and what the owners say, because the owners are really the guys that run the league a lot more than Bettman does. You know, a lot of people think it's Bettman. It's the owners, and Bettman will even say they're his boss. So we'll see if they can. If they can get things by that time. It's coming up pretty quick. But in my opinion, I think that they're going to play. But don't be surprised if last minute the NHL says, see you later, and they have to bring in. What would they do? Would they bring in a bunch of substitute players, or how would that work?
I don't think it would be hard to find 25 guys per country that want to go play. I don't think it'd be hard. They could call you and me. We got the passports. Yeah, exactly. But, you know, it's funny you say that with the owners, which is a topic that I didn't expect to get into today, but I totally think that you're right. I'm going to have Doug McLean with me, as you know, on our Panthers podcast tomorrow, and I'll ask him. Because when they were going into the Four Nations face-off last year, and we're talking about Doug McLean, the famous Panthers coach, took them to the Stanley Cup final in 96. When they were leading up to the Four Nations face-off a year ago, he goes, if I was a current GM, I would be beside myself with injuries. Because Matthew Tkachuk got hurt in the fight with Hagel, and he hasn't been the same since. Like, I got to think that not all the owners are on board with their guys playing an international competition like this. That's my. I don't know. But would you be surprised if they weren't?
Oh, I would be very surprised if they weren't. I think that they're probably sitting there just biting their fingernails for the whole time their guys are gone. That's their cash cow. That's their a lot of those guys you miss if you lose a Matthew Tkachuk. Like, look what's happening in Florida. I know they're a little tired from last year too, but they shouldn't be where they are if they had Tkachuk in the lineup. You'd hate to see that happen to a few more guys, because we saw McDavid. The one thing people don't is McDavid came back last year. He had to miss a few games. He got nicked up. Was he a little nicked up from the tourney that we didn't know about? And then you decide to take a little time off. It's if you're the owners, you got to be sitting there. Owners, GMs, coaches, even your teammates got to be sitting there biting their fingernails the whole tournament, going, "Please, not now. We're getting into the stretch run here. We cannot lose these guys." Imagine Edmonton loses a McDavid.
Well, sure, but that's not going to happen because the ice is 3 feet shorter than code. Like, I feel like a little's being made too much about that.
Yeah. I mean, that's just as a player, you're not even going to notice that. 3 feet is not a whole lot. You take a foot off of each zone, and things happen a little bit quicker, but they're going to be happening a lot quicker anyways. I don't think if the guys get there and everything's good, nobody's going to care about that.
On cue, John Ohm checks in from Winnipeg. He says these hockey players are multi-million-dollar assets. As an owner, I would be concerned. Hang on, Jeremy in Winnipeg. We'll get to your comment. We're very big in Winnipeg. But on the Jets, Jared, how concerned should they be? They're one of the coldest teams in the NHL over the past 10, and we know why that is.
Well, you know what? You gotta just rely on Hellebuck. Obviously, he's a big part of your team. He's the MVP. He's the Vezina winner. That's a massive part of your team, and it's good. You can have as good a backup as you want. When the guys are used to playing with a guy like Hellebuck, it's the same thing as Montreal with Carey Price. What were they when Carey Price got hurt back in the day, right? So we're kind of seeing the same thing. There are a lot of good players in Winnipeg. I didn't think that they'd be this cold. Without Hellebuck, I think they could be a little bit better. So that's maybe a touch concerning for the fans. But Hellebuck's going to come back. They're going to make a couple tweaks before the playoffs. I wouldn't be hitting the panic button too hard right now.
Well, it's deeper, I think, than what he brings in the crease. There are certain teams where the goalie is more than just your goalie. I see it here with Florida. Like Luongo is the all-time leader in wins for both the Panthers and the Canucks. Sometimes your goalie is more than just a goalie. And that's what I think is going on with Connor Hellebuck. He signed up long-term. He's not going anywhere. People in Winnipeg, nobody's worth, but we're all seeing how much he's worth.
Well, I mean, Luongo actually wore the C when the goalies could see there. So, I mean, a lot of times your goalie, there's nobody on the ice more than your starting goalie in a season. A lot of times, depending on their attitude and the type of guy they are, your goalie is your captain, whether he wears the C or not. Everybody's looking to him, going to him. He's the goalie. Oftentimes is in control of the room when they're that right personality. So you get that personality back in the room, and you get that confidence that you've got your leader back, your highest leader back, and things can turn around very, very quickly.
So a couple things in the time that we have left, which we still have plenty of time, but I said that in Jeremy in Winnipeg, we'd get to him. He says, the Red Wings are in on the Hughes rumors. We can morph it together. He says, I wonder what that trade would look like. I can't see Yzerman paying that. It's the number one topic I sense in the NHL right now, besides Olympic participation, is Quinn Hughes wanting out of Vancouver. And this morning on NHL radio, Chris Pronger said, can you blame him? The team has no direction. He's giving his all every night. The analytics show it. And the team, they got blanked again last night by Detroit. It's horrible there. How does this play out?
I don't know. If I'm guessing, I'm thinking he gets traded at some point, whether that's this year or after this year. I don't know if it's going to be New Jersey, like a lot of people speculate. In my mind, what happens to his brother Luke? Luke's is he going to come in and take his brother's minute? How is that going to pan out? You'd have to maybe move one to the right side. But Detroit, that's an interesting option. I think, people saying that they don't think Yzerman would pay that. I think almost any GM in the league would pay whatever it takes to get a guy like that. You know, a superstar that can lead your team and put up that many points as a D man, who's a captain type guy. If Detroit could get their hands on him, I think they would. They'd give up whatever they needed to. But it's going to be a good one to watch close to see, you know, what comes of that. I would guess it's not going to happen this year. I don't know why. I just get that feeling it would be something that happens maybe after the season. A lot of people are worried with, you know, trying to feel everything out with the cap going up. Everybody's so close right now. It's tough to know what to give up and what not to. I don't know if anybody wants to blow it up that much this season, but I think they will after the season.
Well, I'll tell you, I might have offended Bob Marjanovic when he was on the air with us last week. Legendary Vancouver broadcaster. I said, I've never seen a team play with less heart than these Canucks. And he was a little miffed by that, but also stand by that. It is horrific what's going on in Vancouver. And I feel bad for the franchise because, like, what more do they got to do? But speaking of all that, another team that's a little down on their times is the Flames, yet they've won 7 of their last 10, and they lit the lamp 7 times against Buffalo last night. You're in the notes you sent me, you're like, don't win now. What's your take on the Flames?
The Flames are like the Islanders were for about a decade there, winning at all the wrong times. You know, just when you think it's about to fall off and, okay, we're going to start getting trading guys away and then we're going to try win the lottery. We'll get some guys built for the future. All of a sudden you start winning, and that gives everybody in the organization confidence. The owner, the GM, the coaches, everybody's going, hey, wait a minute, I think we can do it. Look at this, 7 of 10. So now, you know, so you hold off a little bit. You maybe miss out on some big trades that you could have had. We'll see what happens with Calgary. When you actually watch the team, they look very fast. They look like they're just missing a superstar or, you know, a couple of really, really high-end players. They're not that far off, so I can see why they would stand pat. But I personally know a lot of Flames fans that are sitting back going, would we just lose already? We're losing at all the wrong, or we're winning at all the wrong times. Let's try get McKenna.
Well, while we're at it, in the time we have left, are you at all concerned that McKenna is only like 1.1 point per game at Penn State? Like, will the World Juniors solidify his draft status, or is it already a lock that he's number 1?
Well, you know what? I think the World Juniors, they're not always the biggest deal of the season. A lot of it goes to your season, but I think for Gavin McKenna, I think it's as big as it's ever been. This tournament's going to be massive for him. He goes out and he puts up a point a game. You might see him slide to a number 2 or 3 spot. You got some really good young guys. So what's the young guy in the SHL that's absolutely tearing it up? You got Veroff, who's a great big strong D man, tough, he can score. There's nothing saying he's locked in. If he doesn't have a good tournament, some teams could get scared off depending on who wins the draft. They could get scared off and say, maybe he isn't what we thought he was. But he's always been a phenomenal player. He's been that kind of Bedard echelon. So I think he's going to go to the World Juniors and put up about 20 points, maybe even more. And if he does that, I think that'll solidify his number 1 spot.
USA, 2-time defending World Junior champs. We have less than a minute here. Are they going to make it 3 in a row or no?
I think you know what? I think Canada's going to win this year. I just think we've had a couple of off years, being 5th in the tournament 2 years in a row. That's never happened before. At the roster, we got a heck of a roster, and you look at our goaltending. You got George leading the way again. He was one of the top players on the team last year. We got a heck of a team. I think Canada's going to win it this year, Roddy.
Fantastic job, Jared, the Tulsa King. Stay warm up there, my friend. Stay safe.
You too. Thanks a lot, brother. Chat soon.
Jared Dumba from the famous hockey-playing Dumba family. We'll be coming right back with a sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the way on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network. Had to think there for a second. And appearing later in the day on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network. My mind is calling an audible here. We don't do a ton of Canadian Football League news here on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network. However, there is a Nevada connection in that the viewers are telling me, because nothing has come across the sports wire here, that Wolfpack Grey Cup champion in 2023, Cody Fajardo, has signed with the Edmonton Elks for the 2026 season. So let me walk this back for a second. That's the breaking news. University of Nevada Wolfpack grad star Cody Fajardo, 2023 Grey Cup champion. I think he's 33 years of age. He's a good friend of mine. Is back in Edmonton. You can see that I'm sitting here thinking, well, what can I say? Because I've been talking with Cody throughout this process. I don't know that it matters now. I'm thinking maybe it'll come out in interviews with regards to this signing. But there was some consternation whether or not he was going to be back, only because he had another opportunity outside the Canadian Football League that he was mulling over. And money was an issue too, but it sounds like they've got it all sorted out. And I said to Cody, because we go back a long ways and we're close friends, I said, out of respect for you, I'm not going to report on anything on this. But he did say the second that he gets it all sorted out, wherever he was going to play, that he would come on this program. So look for that in the weeks ahead. Cody Fajardo, Canadian Football League star, Nevada Wolfpack alum, will be coming up, but not until he gets this announced and out of the way in Edmonton. Elsewhere on the sports update for the Ultimate Fan Zone, your home for jerseys, collectibles, and all the gear you need. Visit them today or shop online at ultimatefanzone.ca. Reliever Edwin Diaz has agreed to a $69 million three-year contract with the World Series champion LA Dodgers, a three-time All-Star who turns 32 on March 22nd. Diaz joins a Dodgers bullpen that struggled last season, causing the team to shift rookie Roki Sasaki to a closer in the postseason. Meanwhile, his teammate Shohei Ohtani has won the Associated Press Male Athlete of the Year award for the fourth time, and that ties him with Lance Armstrong, LeBron James, and Tiger Woods for most among male honorees. Here's another one. Breaking news from this Tuesday. Lionel Messi has become the first back-to-back MVP in Major League Soccer history. The 38-year-old Argentine star was announced today as this year's winner of the league's top individual honor. This achievement adds to Messi's long list of career accomplishments. He scored 29 goals and made 19 assists during the regular season and led Inter Miami to their first MLS Cup title. That was just on Saturday. Way to go, Lionel. Terry Rozier of the Miami Heat has pleaded not guilty to charges he helped gamblers place bets on his performance in an NBA game. The 31-year-old formally entered the plea in Brooklyn federal court Monday on federal wire fraud and money laundering conspiracy charges. Happier news, Mark Williams had 22 points and 7 rebounds, and the visiting Phoenix Suns overcame Anthony Edwards' 40 points to snap the Minnesota Timberwolves' 5-game NBA win streak with a 108-105 victory. Every time I hear the name Anthony Edwards, I think of star of Revenge of the Nerds. Look it up. The Toronto Raptors can clinch a spot in Saturday's NBA Cup semifinals in Las Vegas with a win over the visiting New York Knicks tonight. Orlando is at home to Miami in the other quarterfinal. On Wednesday, Oklahoma City entertains Phoenix, and the LA Lakers meet San Antonio. Isn't it nice when it all comes together? I was just so tickled to learn that if this is true, Las Vegas's NBA team is the Phoenix Suns. I didn't know that. How would I know that? I assumed it was the Lakers because the Dodgers is your baseball team and down there in Vegas. But we got the Raptors, our Toronto team, the Heat, where I live, and the Phoenix Suns all alive in the NBA Cup. And I don't even know what that is. Okay. Sports Update is brought to you by Ultimate Fan Zone. Rough Riders, Blue Jays, NFL, NHL, you name it. They've got it. Rep your team loud and proud with the Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store. Shop now at ultimatefanzone.ca. We'll be coming right back with our NHL picks and viewer takeover right after this. You are watching the RP Show on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network across Nevada and, of course, across Canada and 32 U.S. states on Game Plus TV. Overtime's coming up. Get your questions in on the text line, 902-518-3033. Back after this.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. Welcome back for Overtime, the final segment of the program, as I said, brought to you daily by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, Alberta. Calgary, where they always have things going on. Calgary, yes, but especially Overtime Hockey Lanes. They have their 12 days of Christmas promotion going on, and they're welcoming all kinds of birthday parties, team parties, Christmas parties, office parties. It's kind of a party kind of place. 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. Above all, it is a hockey, well, they say we're not a training center, although it kind of is. As a matter of fact, they have individualized shooting instruction going on there now for the real serious players. So whether you're prepping for the big game or just want to have some fun, it's the place. They got it all. And like I say, Randy and Michelle are working so hard to be a success there. Why don't you go down and check them out and tell them the RP show sent you? Okay? Okay. I do have the officials here. Just did a quick Twitter search, and indeed, Cody Fajardo is back to terrorize CFL defenders for another season. My good friend and quarterback of the CFL, El Camos, has signed an extension for 2026. Yeah, it still hasn't hit the news wire yet, but the team has announced it via Twitter. So Nevada Wolfpack, great, and Grey Cup champion Cody Fajardo back in Edmonton. What I can tell you is he wanted to be back. The Elks wanted him back, but sometimes there's a little thing called business in the middle. And then life. So, yeah, that's good news. That's really good news. Give me another reason to cheer for the El Camos, which I'll say again, my 20 seasons in the CFL plus 7 seasons out afterwards, Edmonton has been so first class to me. They're a great organization, a good one to cheer for. Yes, Dan reminding people, Dan in Winnipeg writing in, he says, come on, people, hit the likes. If you're watching on YouTube, like the show. If you like this show, like it. Is that so hard? Apparently it would help us out. I don't know so much about the streaming anymore. 902-518-3033, as I said, is the text line. Max writes in. Where are you, Max? He's in Toronto. He says, the Jacksonville Icemen are leading the East Coast League with an average of 9,022 fans per game so far this season. Could the NHL be looking there for expansion in the East? I wouldn't say no to anything. But I do think Atlanta comes first. If you had to put it in an order, Atlanta, Houston, I'd love to see Jacksonville on there. Hockey is exploding in Florida. It's great for a guy like me, but that's the first I've heard of Jacksonville connected to NHL expansion. Speaking of the National Hockey League, which I feel like we're very quickly become Vegas's NHL show. Here's your picks for tonight in the NHL. San Jose at Philadelphia. We'll take the Flyers. They're one of the hottest teams in the NHL right now. Don't you know? Rick Tocchet gets it done. Tampa Bay at Montreal. Lightning have lost 4 in a row. I think that's what it is. Let's go Habs. Ole, 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 ole. Anaheim at Pittsburgh. Ducks for me, dog. Pacific Division leading Ducks, said nobody in the last 20 years. But they are. Vegas at the Islanders. Sorry, I'm going with the Isles. New Jersey at Ottawa. I'm going to go with the Sens. Columbus at Carolina. Yeah, I definitely like the Canes, especially at home. The Boston Bruins at the St. Louis Blues. A rematch of the 2019 Stanley Cup Final and 1970. Bruins for me. How about them getting into a playoff spot? The Bruins. What are they going to be for real? Maybe they are. Dallas Stars at Winnipeg. Sorry, Winnipeg. Stars, one of the hottest teams in hockey right now, despite the absence of Tyler Seguin. Buffalo at the Edmonton Oilers. Buffalo can't find their way out of a wet paper bag. Otherwise, it's Edmonton. And the Colorado Avalanche at Nashville in a battle of worst against first. Definitely go with the Avalanche there. Meant to do this with Jared, but ran out of time. Meant to do it with Scruffy. He sucked all the air out of the room back in hour 1. Didn't have time to go through that. So the picks are always so much fun for our good friends at CoolBet. Let me tell you what's going on at CoolBet. Claim your welcome bet bonus up to $200 with the promo code RP200 at coolbet.com. Canadian viewers only. Sorry. What else do we have here? Oh, Dan is watching in Winnipeg, as we said, and he says, Rod, what's going on with the Jets? Talked about this yesterday with Jamie Thomas from the Winnipeg Jets official podcast, Ground Control, and Jamie of Jets TV. We all know what's going on with the Winnipeg Jets. What you are all figuring out is how important Connor Hellebuck is to that dressing room and to that organization. Some goalies are just goalies. And then there's leaders too. I mean, I don't know. I'm not in the Winnipeg Jets dressing room, but they can't win without Connor Hellebuck, period. End of story. I've watched 2 games of theirs in the last, since Hellebuck went out. The game in Buffalo, absolutely abhorrent. You all know that. What they lose, 4-1? Had to have a team-only, players-only meeting after that. When you're doing that, that's not a good sign. You need to find another way to play without Hellebuck back there. They haven't been able to do that yet. And then the Montreal game I watched because I was up in Saskatchewan last week. Was able to watch that. And, hey, you can't play much better. They lost in a shootout to the Habs. But what did Mark Scheifele say after the game? These backup goalies are doing their part. We're not scoring enough goals. So I know there's a lot of navel-gazing going on in Winnipeg and so forth. And should we have let Nikolai Ehlers go? Again, Jamie Thomas was on with us yesterday, Dan. You know him from Jets fame. And he's like, they tried to keep Ehlers. Can't keep everybody, especially when a guy wants to go. Leaving Winnipeg for Raleigh, I'm not sure I would do that. Raleigh isn't exactly Disneyland, but Ehlers is doing well in Carolina. So there's all the reasons that the Jets are struggling right now. And Jonathan Toews hasn't been what people thought he would be, the 3-time Stanley Cup winning Jonathan Toews. He's not the same player. Still a good player. But they have some things to figure out before Hellebuck comes back. And then when he comes back, I think they will be fine. But there's the answer to your question. And Dan says, thanks, Rod. You knew all this, Dan. You're a smart guy. Where are we at, Corey? Oh, okay. Okay, we'll do this all again tomorrow. Mike Richards will be with us. Looking forward to that. Thanks for tuning in across the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. And, of course, our overlords, Game Plus TV.
That